stop. Right now. Why do you keep explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you? Why do you feel guilty for choosing your own peace? And here's the truth that might hit hard. Every time you over-explain, you give away your power. There is a silent strength in not explaining. In a world where everyone demands answers, reactions, and justifications, the strongest people are often the quietest. Stoicism teaches us something simple but powerful. Not every opinion deserves your response, and not every person deserves your explanation. When you stop explaining yourself, you don't lose control. You take it back. Today, we're going deep into 10 Stoic lessons that will help you reclaim your power, protect your peace, and finally live on your own terms. Not everyone who asks about you truly wants to understand you. Some people are curious not to connect, but to judge, compare, or find something to use later. When you open your mind to the wrong people, you don't gain clarity, you invite noise. You start explaining your choices, defending your decisions, and adjusting your words just to be understood. And in that process, you slowly lose your peace. Because not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every person deserves access to your inner world. Stoicism teaches that your mind is your responsibility to protect. You don't owe everyone explanations, justifications, or constant transparency. Silence is not weakness, it is control. It allows you to move without interference, to think without pressure, and to act without needing approval. When you stop explaining yourself to those who don't truly listen, your thoughts become clearer and your direction becomes stronger. Let people think what they want. Their opinions are shaped by their own perspective, not your reality. You don't need to correct every misunderstanding or respond to every judgment. The more you detach from that need, the lighter you feel. Because peace is not found in being understood by everyone. It's found in staying true to yourself without needing to be explained. Talking too much often comes from the need to be understood, accepted, or validated. You explain your choices, defend your actions, and try to make others see your perspective. But the more you do this, the more you dilute your presence. Words can be questioned, doubted, or misunderstood, and when you keep explaining yourself, it can actually create uncertainty even when you are right. It gives the impression that your actions need support, as if they cannot stand on their own. Stoicism teaches the opposite approach. Let your actions carry the weight. When you move with calm confidence, consistency, and integrity, you don't need to convince anyone. People observe patterns over time. They see how you behave, how you handle pressure, how you stay grounded. And that silent consistency builds more trust than any explanation ever could. Because truth doesn't need constant defense, it reveals itself through action. There is power in restraint. When you speak less and act more, your presence becomes stronger. You are no longer reacting to every opinion or trying to control how others see you. You focus on what matters, your behavior, your discipline, your values. And in that space, respect grows naturally. Because people may question your words, but they cannot deny what they consistently see. No matter how clearly you speak or how carefully you explain yourself, some people will still misunderstand you. Not because you failed, but because people see the world through their own experiences, biases, and emotions. You could do everything right and still be seen the wrong way. That's reality. And the moment you accept this, you stop exhausting yourself trying to control something that was never in your hands. Trying to manage how others perceive you is a losing game. It pulls your focus outward, makes you overthink your actions, and creates pressure to constantly adjust yourself. You begin to perform instead of simply being. But Stoicism teaches a different path. Focus only on what you can control, your actions, your values, your intentions. Let people form their opinions. Let them misunderstand if they choose to. Their thoughts belong to them, not to you. There is a deep freedom in this mindset. You stop chasing approval and start living with clarity. You act based on who you are, not how you will be perceived, and over time, that consistency becomes your identity. Some people will understand you, some won't, and that's okay. Because your responsibility is not to manage every opinion. Your responsibility is to stay aligned with your truth, your character, and your path. And when you do that, you no longer feel the need to explain. You simply live it. Over-explaining rarely comes from clarity, it comes from fear. The fear of being misunderstood, judged, rejected, or not accepted. So you add more words, more details, more justification, hoping they will make you see the right way. But the more you explain, the more it shows that you are seeking approval, and that need slowly weakens your presence. You start shaping your words around how others might react, instead of simply standing in your truth. Stoicism teaches courage, the kind that doesn't depend on being liked or understood by everyone. Real strength is being okay with the fact that some people will disagree, some will judge, and some will never see your perspective. And that's fine, because your value is not decided by their opinion. The moment you accept this, the pressure to explain begins to fade. When fear is removed, your communication becomes simple and direct. You say what needs to be said, and you leave it there. No over-justifying, no overthinking. You trust your actions, your intentions, and your character to speak for you. And in that simplicity, there is power, because you are no longer trying to control how others see you. You are simply being who you are, without fear. Silence is often misunderstood. People assume that if you're not reacting, not arguing, or not defending yourself, it means that you're weak or have nothing to say. But in reality, silence takes more strength than reaction. Anyone can respond emotionally in the moment. Few can stay composed, observe, and choose not to engage. That choice is control. It shows that you are not ruled by impulse, anger, or the need to prove yourself. Stoicism views silence as discipline. It's the ability to step back and recognize what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every situation deserves your involvement. When you stop reacting to everything, you stop feeding unnecessary drama. You remove yourself from cycles of conflict that lead to nowhere. And in that space, your mind stays clear, your emotions stay stable, and your peace remains intact. There is real power in this. When you are silent by choice, not by fear, you send a strong message. You show that you are grounded, self-assured, and not easily shaken. You don't need to win every argument or be understood by everyone. Your focus shifts from proving to living, and that's where true strength begins, when your peace matters more than your reaction, and your control matters more than your voice. You don't need a long explanation to protect your boundaries. In fact, the more you explain, the more room you give others to question, negotiate, or push against them. When you over-justify your no, it can sound uncertain, even when you're right. And people often respond to that uncertainty by testing your limits. But a boundary is not a debate, it's a decision. Stoicism teaches simplicity and firmness. A calm, clear response is enough. No, I can't do that. No extra details, no long reasoning, no emotional defense. When you speak this way, you show confidence in your choice. You're not asking for approval, you're stating your position. And that clarity naturally earns more respect than a long explanation ever could. Real respect doesn't come from convincing people, it comes from consistency. When you hold your boundaries without wavering, people learn how to treat you. Some may not like it, and that's okay. Boundaries are not about being liked, they're about protecting your time, energy, and self-respect. And once you stop over-explaining and start standing firm, you'll notice something powerful. The right people will understand without needing explanations, and the wrong ones will reveal themselves without you having to say much at all. Your energy is one of your most valuable resources, yet most people spend it without awareness. Every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, engage in pointless arguments, or try to prove your worth to someone who has already decided not to understand, you lose a piece of that energy. It may not feel like much in the moment, but over time, it adds up. You feel drained, distracted, and mentally scattered. Not because life is too hard, but because your energy is being pulled in too many directions that don't truly matter. Stoicism teaches conservation, protecting your time, your focus, and your inner state. Not every situation deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every battle is worth fighting. When you start choosing where your energy goes, your life becomes simpler and more powerful. You stop reacting to everything and start investing in what actually moves you forward: your growth, your discipline, your peace. There is strength in restraint. When you walk away from unnecessary conflict, you are not losing, you are preserving. You are choosing long-term clarity over short-term validation. And that shift changes everything. Your mind becomes sharper, your actions become more intentional, and your progress becomes consistent. Because when your energy is focused, not scattered, you move with purpose. And that's where real power lies. Not in proving yourself to others, but in building yourself quietly and effectively. The need to constantly explain yourself often comes from a deeper place, the desire to be understood, accepted, and validated. You want others to see your intentions, agree with your decisions, and confirm that you are right. But when your sense of worth depends on external approval, you give others quiet control over how you feel. Their agreement lifts you, their disagreement shakes you, and that creates instability because you are placing your confidence in something that is always changing. Stoicism teaches a different foundation: self-validation. When you truly know who you are, what you stand for, and why you make your choices, you don't need constant agreement from others. You become grounded in your own understanding. This doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you stable. You can listen to others without being controlled by them. You can accept feedback without losing your sense of self. And most importantly, you stop explaining just to feel accepted. This is where quiet confidence is built. Not loud, not attention-seeking, but calm, steady, and unshakable. You speak when necessary, act with clarity, and trust your own judgment. You don't chase validation because you already have it within. And that changes everything. Because when your confidence comes from inside, it cannot be easily taken away. And that is real strength. The right people don't need long explanations to understand you. They trust your intentions, respect your decisions, and give you the space to be yourself. There is no constant pressure to justify your actions or defend your choices. With them, things feel simple and natural, not forced or exhausting. That's how you know the connection is real. It brings clarity, not confusion. The need to constantly explain yourself often comes from being around the wrong audience. People who question everything you do, doubt your intentions, or expect you to prove your worth will always drain your energy. No matter how much you explain, it will never feel enough. And the more you try, the more you lose yourself in the process. Stoicism teaches you to shift your focus. Instead of trying to be understood by everyone, invest in relationships that already understand you. Let go of the need to convince, impress, or please the wrong people. Because the truth is simple. Those who are right for you will see you without constant explanation, and those who don't were never meant to. Your energy is better spent building real connections, not chasing approval from those who refuse to see your value. Peace begins when explanation ends. The moment you stop explaining yourself, something changes. You feel lighter, calmer, stronger, because you are no longer carrying the weight of other people's expectations. Stoicism is about inner freedom, and that freedom begins when you stop seeking approval. So ask yourself, how much of your energy, time, and peace have you spent trying to explain yourself to people who were never truly willing to understand you? Think about the conversations where you kept repeating your intentions, softening your words, or adding more detail just to be accepted. Yet no matter how clearly you spoke, the outcome stayed the same. They misunderstood you anyway, or simply chose not to see your perspective. In those moments, it was never about your explanation being insufficient. It was about their willingness to understand. And that's where the real lesson lies. When you keep trying to be understood by the wrong people, you slowly drain your own clarity. You start questioning yourself, adjusting your truth, and shaping your voice just to fit their perception. Over time, you lose more than just energy. You lose parts of your authenticity. Stoicism brings you back to simplicity. Not everyone deserves your explanation, and not every opinion deserves your effort. The goal is not to be understood by everyone, but to stay true to yourself, regardless of who understands you. Because the more you stop proving yourself to the wrong audience, the more you reclaim your peace, your focus, and your power. Your power grows the moment you choose peace over proving yourself. If this content added value to you, take a moment to like the video, follow the channel, and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Your support helps this message reach more people who need it.